If you found this podcast, chances are you're a high achiever and you're successful. But now you're stuck and stressed, and you realize that everything you've created hasn't given you the fulfillment and the joy you thought it would. This is where we discuss the keys of high performance mindset and stepping into the next best version of yourself. Welcome to the Positive Persistence Podcast. Welcome back to another episode of the Positive Persistence Podcast, where we bring you stories to inspire you and strategies to help you tap into your potential and become your best self. Today, we are joined by an award-winning and master certified coach for life and business. She's an author, podcast host, speaker, certified hypnotist, and what I just learned, former game show contestant and winner. But what she does the best is that she helps rewire the mindsets of high performance leaders. Angie Wisdom, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Ian. I'm so happy to be here with you and have this conversation.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you on. We talked a little bit a couple of days ago, and I love what you are all about, and I love your story, and I love how you help people. So let's just jump in here, because I know that there's going to be so many nuggets and tidbits and pearls of wisdom from you that our listeners and viewers can really glean from this conversation. But for those of us who don't know Angie Wisdom that well, I was hoping you could take us back a little bit and just give us a peek into maybe what childhood was like, into maybe your young adult years.
Sure, absolutely. It's always a fun place to go back to, easy days when you were a kid.
Right.
I grew up in Florida, actually, and, I was raised in a split family. My mother was an alcoholic, so it was a little bit of a volatile childhood, but good. I was taught at a very young age to be pretty scrappy and pretty independent because of, my mother's addiction. And I really think it shaped me to be who I am. I think I always talk about how I tried out for everything. We were just talking about game shows, right? I will compete at anything. So as a kid, it was like, I was always trying to figure out, what am I good at? Could I be great at something? And I tried out for everything possible because I just was sure that I had to have some kind of hidden talent.
Right.
Never quite figured that out, no basketball, no volleyball, nothing like that. But, that kind of the lifestyle that I grew up in pushed me into being independent, to going into the financial industry, really wanting to own my future and be successful. So moved into the financial industry at a young age in banking, and then as a financial advisor. I thought that was where my passion was. And then I learned pretty early on, my mid-20s, that really it was coaching people. Yeah. Bringing out the best in them and being able to rewire their mindset. I had carried so many years of the wrong mindset and a little bit of maybe victim mentality and some things that really held me back from my childhood. And I realized that once I unpacked those, once I did the work to overcome them, man, it was like the clouds parted and there was this pathway to this life and success that I never even thought was possible. And so that's what I'm obsessed with doing right now.
That's awesome. Let's unpack a little bit of what you just said.
Sure.
Because I know for myself and for a lot of people that are listening and watching this episode, that we have things that we're dealing with now that we don't realize that are connected to our childhood. Mm-hmm. And for you, I'm wondering if you could tell us, what was that drive for you to find that thing that you were good at? That thing that, was it so you could make it part of your identity? Were you searching for, that thing that could get you maybe the attention that you sought? And I don't want to put words into your mouth, but I just know that
Sure.
for me personally, those were things that I was searching for at a young age.
Right. And no, you kind of hit the nail on the head there. We all develop personalities in our young age based upon the environment that we grow up in. And so me growing up with a divided family and a mother who was an alcoholic, it shaped me to feel like I wasn't important, that I wasn't valued, that there was no time for me. So that was kind of what that drive was, right? How can I stand out? How can I be seen? Somebody, as kind of sad as it sounds, and I didn't think this back then, I realize it now, how can somebody see what I'm worth? How can somebody find me valuable? Because growing up the way that I did, I didn't find that within my parent, like I didn't feel that way in that environment. So being able to, like I said, I tried out for volleyball, basketball, like anything that had like this team environment and this acceptance. So back then it was this yearning to be of value, to be accepted, to be seen, to be important. And that was just something that innately I was craving because I wasn't getting it at home.
Yeah.
And that also shaped the whole people pleaser within me. That's where that came from, because if I make people happy, if I make them laugh, if I do good things for them, then I'm going to get the love that I need. And that carried with me for years.
Right. I think that's for me, I hear what you're saying, and I have so many parallels to that in my own life. And I know that I didn't realize it for a very long time into, God, I'm 49 now, probably into my early 40s, that I've been searching for significance all this time. And I think, and I don't know about you, but, the people that I've come into contact with who most would consider high achievers, that's something that they have in common. That's like a common denominator. That the drive that they have now was born out of seeking that significance earlier on in life.
Yeah, I would agree. And, what is so miraculous is that we all have that significance in us if we just show up as who we are and stop seeking that external validation and significance. If we're just significant for ourselves, it's in there. But man, nobody teaches us that, right?
Yeah, you would think that there would be a course on that in school somewhere.
Right?
Yeah, it is definitely needed. But I know that, that's part of the work that you do. And I want to get into that so people understand some of the special skills that you bring to helping people tap into their potential and actually realize how powerful that truly can be. Now, I know that you've already mentioned that you've been in the financial world for quite some time and you've had a lot of success there. What was I don't know if it was an event or what was the thing, quote unquote, that maybe turned your interest into becoming the coach you are now? I know that you started doing a little bit of that in the financial world, but what was it that started to maybe tickle your fancy, for another phrase, about wanting to become a coach and helping people achieve their own greatness?
There was a major shift for me when I was in the financial industry that took me from believing that your significance, to use your word, your worth, your value was tied to performance. Mm-hmm. That's how I operated for years. And so even when I was a financial advisor at Morgan Stanley, I remember seeing like the rankings, like we had class rankings, and where were you compared to the other 100 people in your class?
Yeah.
So my brain was so wired to performance, right? When you perform, you're seen and you're valued and you're accepted. And that's what I coached people on, even in the industry. It was like, just go, go, go. Whatever you have to do, you get over the finish line, blood, sweat, tears, it didn't matter. And I realized that one day I was in my office and I was crossing, I'd pull out like a little paper calendar, old school, right? Back in like 1998. And I'd pull out that paper calendar and I would cross another day off the calendar. And it just hit me one day. I was like, I had this vision of almost like a prison cell, right? Where people mark the days. And I was like, why am I like crossing days off of a calendar? Like, whew, I just like served another day. Yeah. I'm getting closer.
Right.
And it occurred to me, like, I couldn't wait till the weekend. I couldn't wait till a vacation. I think subconsciously I couldn't even wait until I didn't have to like work. And it wasn't that I didn't like my job. It was just that I wasn't fulfilled because it was all performance and there wasn't the internal joy for myself. Mm-hmm. There was a lack of authenticity because I showed up and I was whoever I needed to be to make the relationship and get the deal. So that was a pivotal moment when I was like, oh man, this can't be how you do this forever. I was my young 20s and I was like 60, 50 more years of this, like no way.
Right.
And I set off on that journey to go, how do I find more joy every single day? And once I tapped into that, if you would have asked me that long ago, I would have been like, meditation, sitting still, being with your thoughts, I would have laughed at it because it was probably an insecurity of mine. But to this day, it's the number one needle mover for anybody out there. is being able to have a relationship with yourself and know yourself, spend time with yourself. That's going to create more success and performance than anything else. So I was like, I've got to tell the world about this.
I may be wrong, but I think that most of the world thinks of the things that you just mentioned as woo-woo.
Yes.
Right? Like,
oh, for
that
sure.
doesn't work. That is for granola and yogis, and, give me some real meat that I can sink my teeth into to actually do that works. But a lot of people don't realize that how powerful what you just mentioned can actually be.
I was that same person. I really, really was. If it didn't hurt, if it wasn't hard, if it didn't exhaust me, then it wasn't worthy of my time. And it's a mindset shift. I mean, if without that stillness, without that relationship with ourselves, then we cannot extract the very best of us. We don't ideate, we don't create, we don't go beyond what our simple little mind knows. Mm-hmm. So that greatness comes from deep, deep within. And you're going to have to get still to do that. But what most people don't realize is that you're afraid of that stillness, of what might come up.
Yeah.
And that also going back to that performance, I don't think that you and I are unique, Ian, that like, oh, we're the only ones who are looking for that worthiness and significance. Mm-hmm. Everybody is, which is why we go down this path of like perform. It's a road to kind of depression, lack of fulfillment, lack of motivation, all of that. So I'll challenge anybody any day on taking those woo-woo things and outperforming them.
Right. Yeah. As one of the things you said is, sitting still. Do you think that people don't want to do that because that's essentially like holding a mirror up to yourself? Like when you are sitting still and getting in touch with yourself, you have to face the good and the bad. And instead of trying to take actions to please someone else or get into that grind and, hang your hat on how hard I worked or how early I got up or how many, deals I sold or how many clients I brought on this week or whatever that may be, you have to please your inner self, which sometimes is a very difficult thing to do.
It is. And I think a few things come up for that I see with clients. One, the worthiness, right? Am I worthy of resting? Have I done enough? Have I achieved enough? Like that people almost think of that stillness and that rest as conditional. I'll get that when I reach this plateau, when I get this much performance. So it's almost a worthiness thing. There's another issue behind it too, is like people are truly afraid of like, what will I find out? Like, I know there's a lot of stuff that I don't deal with. I know maybe I have some challenges and problems, whether it was past traumas, whether it's current things that you're neglecting. And when the mind is still, right, those things can kind of percolate. So if you're just in constant go mode, it kind of keeps them pushed back there. They're still operating, don't get me wrong, but it's not something that you feel like you have to deal with. And the last one is the programming. One of my clients just said the other day, she's hugely successful. She's getting ready to go on this book tour. And she was talking about like having fun and being still. And she was like, I don't know how to do that. And we talked about like where this came from.
Yeah.
Her narrative was she was without her whole childhood. She had a really, really rough childhood, was without. And her association is, well, if my mother didn't have so much fun, if my mother didn't sit still so much, I would have never been in that position. So in her mind, sitting still, having fun was irresponsible. It was what was going to be the demise of her success and her family.
Yeah.
So it's like that programming, again, in our childhood, that if we don't take a look at what we were programmed with and do something about it, it's going to narrate your whole life.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's like she was having an adversarial reaction to something that she actually might need, but because it's what she saw as what she had to deal with as a kid, that was something that she didn't even fathom. Yeah, that's amazing. I think that's so telling about a lot of how we as humans deal with ourselves and in our lives. And I was hoping, and I was listening to your podcast, and for you guys, you have to check out, if nothing else, if you don't know Angie Wisdom, go check out her podcast, Sharing Wisdom. Episode 1 just breaks down the importance of values. And I thought it was a great episode. And I think that when like people that I talk to and I deal with or are dealing with, in a lot of ways, low self-esteem. And that's one of the barriers of them being able to tap into their potential and being able to see what they can actually achieve in life. But I was hoping that you could tell us your take on something else that I would imagine also is a barrier for us, and that is knowing what our values are. And I was hoping you could break that down for us and why that's important.
Absolutely. It's one of my favorite. It's the foundation. It's the first piece of work that I ever did for myself. It's the first thing I do with every single one of my clients. And you know what's funny, Ian, is I'll have a client that we've taken their business from 20 million to 30 million. And I'll say, like, what's the best thing that's happened in coaching? And they're like, my values. And I'm like, we could do all these other things. And it always comes back to values. And it's simple. It's simple, but it just gets pushed to the side as we become what we call responsible adults. And we lean into all the should do's and the must do's and the have to do's, right? Mm-hmm. But your values are the things that guide your thoughts, the things that guide your actions, your beliefs. Like they're your compass for your whole life. And I don't mean characteristic values like, well, I'm an honest person. I'm, a person of integrity. I mean like what you need to put into your life and live by in order to feel fulfilled, motivated, energized. I almost like to think of them as like supplements. If you took these every single day, then you're going to feel like you are at your peak self, which increases confidence and everything else.
Oh, yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah. So I like to think about it like, think 5 to 7 things that if you put in your life every single day, we're going to give you the highest potential in yourself. And many people, and also the things that you can't live without. And many people right off the top of their head, they'll think of like, oh, well, I got to be with my family. Great. Family is a value of yours. Some people say, oh, I've got to move my body. Great. Physical activity is probably a value of yours. And the ones that show up already are easy to find, but usually that's like a couple for people. And we really have to go back to like, what has put a smile on your face in the past? What do you miss doing? Mm-hmm. What used to bring you so much joy? If you could do something today without judgment, out guilt, what would you go do? Those are often your values. And so the way they work is, I'll rattle mine off, right? I alone time, need my spirituality. Mm-hmm. I need to be challenged. I need time in nature, time with my family, right. Physical activity. Those are my values. And so every day they're coming into my life. They give me the energy. They give me the motivation. They give me the confidence, the fuel, all of that. That's one piece of it. The second greatest thing is every decision you make is filtered through your values. It becomes so easy. Right. Do I want to do this? What do my values say? My values say, yes, this aligns with what I want in my life. It's a yes. What do my values say? My values say that this doesn't even line up. Why would I say yes to go hosting this event when it has nothing to do with my values? Why would I say yes to this, commitment here if it doesn't align with my values? So all of a sudden it frees up so much time. It adds more fulfillment to your life, increases your confidence because you're making decisions like a Jedi, right? Like you finally know how to make your decisions instead of like, oh my gosh, I don't know. Should I say yes? Should I say no? Right? And we're basing it on our feelings or the circumstances instead of just going, what do I value? So love this topic. And I'll have Gabby send you my values assessment. And then you can even put it in the show notes because everybody listening to this podcast, one thing you should do, one thing at least is know your values and get them into your life every day. Honor yourself with them.
I love that. I know that one of the things that you talk about is visualization. That's something that we talked about before. And being a certified hypnotist, I know that, and I would love to talk to you in length about that personally, but using hypnosis as a tool and to help rewire thinking. Now, for someone who believes that they don't deserve success, what would your suggestion be to begin a practice to start anchoring like a new non-negotiable belief?
there's two parts to that. And this is why I love, to back up a little bit, the hypnosis, I was never like all in on that in the past, because I really believe that we consciously need to do work to rewire the subconscious. Mm-hmm. But then when I started to look at the science and put the two of them together, they're so, so powerful. So what I like to do is go first, okay, we got to dig into this belief. Like, what has you believing that you're not worthy? We have to consciously figure out what that story is, what that old paradigm is, so that then we can choose to think something differently about it. So that's our conscious work. And then when that becomes revealed to us, we can now intentionally start to form that new affirmation and belief. And that can be through the hypnosis piece, because look, it's all rewiring of neural pathways. So if you have an old belief, like, I'm not worthy because I'll use my mother, right? I'm not worthy. Didn't ever feel like I got enough attention, didn't ever feel like anyone cared about what I was doing. So there was no time for me. So of course I don't feel worthy. Right. So I understand where it comes from. And it's like, now what's the new belief? I want to believe that I am worthy. I want to believe that I deserve joy and success in my life. Mm-hmm. Great. The only way that's going to change is our subconscious wiring. And if we work on that only through our conscious mind, it will happen eventually, but it's a long period. I mean, you're talking about working on it every single day consciously for, I would say, probably like 9 to 12 months. When we bring in hypnosis, we're dropping ourselves into beta waves that allow us, or alpha waves, that allow us to really put the information right through the back door, per se. We're going to bypass that conscious mind, and we're going to put it right into the subconscious, where we're going to form those new neural pathways that allow us to start believing that. So anyone who's listening that says, like, man, I have this belief that I want to change. What do you want to believe instead? Write that down. What do you want to believe? It may not feel true for you, which is why if we just program it through the conscious mind, it's hard, because the conscious mind is going, no, you're not. You're not worthy, right? And so there's this battle between the two. But when we can get the conscious mind to sleep and to take, a back seat, then we can put that affirmation right into the subconscious. And you can see those changes, depending on how deep it goes, within weeks to a month.
It's time to ask yourself, when was the last time you prioritized you? Did you know that research shows that nearly 85% of high performers struggle to maintain a performance mindset while juggling the demands of work and personal life? Those who actively prioritize their performance mindset and personal growth are 30% more likely to achieve their goals in business and life. If you're feeling crippling stress and anxiety, or if you're feeling guilty when you take a moment for yourself, or if you're stuck in the grind and feeling burnt out, you're not alone. Many of us yearn for more, but struggle with the fear of being judged or feeling selfish. And you want to step into the next best version of yourself. That's why I created the Rinse Method, which got me from paraplegic to marathon runner. Backed by science-based proven strategies and now customized for high performers like you. If you're stuck and stressed and want clear steps that you can implement today to move forward, make sure you visit thepositivepersistence.com to download our free Rinse PDF.
Yeah, that to me is amazing. And that is a skill I think that most of us need to have.
Yes.
To be able to bypass the conscious mind that is giving us all of these negative thoughts that turn into limiting beliefs that we have over and over again, that then become a part of our reality, right? And we know that our personal reality is created by our personality, which if that's driven by limiting beliefs, then wow, you're screwed. Right?
You are, yeah. I mean, to say it directly, right?
Yeah, and so I find that your work is fascinating, and I love the title of your first book, and what you talk about is the Non-Negotiable You. And I have ideas in my mind what that would mean for me, but I would love for you to break that down for us and what that means, and what is the purpose behind the Non-Negotiable You.
The non-negotiable you is like an agreement with yourself. It's about not negotiating on who you are and that relationship with yourself. That is the core of what we need before anything else. You know, you probably experience the same thing where we meet people all the time that are like, let's 10x the business, let's scale the team. Like they want the performance and the results. Mm-hmm. The possibility of all of that comes from being in alignment with yourself, being able to trust yourself, being able to master your mindset, being able to live your values, being able to take responsibility for what you want, not have that victim mentality. And that is the non-negotiable you. If I can kind of give you an idea about someone who is the non-negotiable you, they trust themselves explicitly. There is no doubt. There's no pondering of what's right and what's wrong and whether they should or shouldn't do something. They know themselves so well. They're so in tune with their own gut and intuition that they lead themselves so gracefully, right? They're so powerful. They're so knowing who they are. They show up authentically. That's the non-negotiable you. And just imagine how life would be different for people if they showed up like that, right? No overthinking what other people are thinking about them. No making excuses for what they want in their life. No burnout. No, energy fatigue because they're depriving themselves of what they need. You're talking about a totally different person who has the capabilities to create anything that they want.
What do you say to the person that may be listening or watching this and they're like, Angie, that all sounds great, but I'm a mother of 3 and my day is I wake up, I'm getting kids ready for school, packing lunches. I get them on the bus. I'm rushing off to my job. I'm working until 5 o'clock. I rush home. I'm getting the kids off the bus, 2 practices. I got to fix dinner. And then, before I look up, it's 9 o'clock and I'm going to sleep and I got to do it all over again tomorrow. I don't have time to work on myself. And if I do take time, isn't that selfish of me to do that? What do you say to that individual? How do you help them?
I'll address both of the. I was going to kind of lighten my words, but I'm not. You have the time. You have to make the time. There is 10 minutes somewhere in your day where either you're spending it overthinking, where you're spending it frustrated, where you're spending it rushing around. Like there, I promise you, there is time. If you want it, you will make the time.
Yeah.
And I say that because I did all this. I also have 2 kids, they're gone now and I'm empty nesting, but I did this when my kids were there. And I remember it's modification. Maybe you only get these 5 minutes in the morning. Maybe those 5 minutes comes from when you're in the shower, when you're in the bathroom, when you're in your closet, when you're sitting in the driveway after, bringing the kids home, sitting in carpool lane after you've gotten them out. You have to figure out when that time is for you and just go, what's one thing I can do for me? Even if it's just let me have a minute to breathe. Or asking yourself, here's one powerful question you can ask yourself every single day. And this just takes a minute, right? How am I feeling? And what do I want to do about it? Just that one question and that one option to change how you're feeling starts to put you into the non-negotiable you. It says, hey, I care about myself. Mm-hmm. I'm not a victim. I can take control of my thoughts and my feelings and actions. So I want to make a plea that there's always time to do something. You don't have to go after the whole process, but just that one thing of if I loved myself enough, if I thought I was worthy enough, what would I do for me, even if I only had 5 minutes? But to answer your second question, my favorite question of all time, I used to think this because as a people pleaser, right? It's oh my gosh, put myself first. That is selfish. What I realized is that if you don't take care of you, and everyone says this, right? Put your mask on first and you got to take care of you. Yep. But when you don't, you're showing up with less than who you are to anyone else. And I had to think about that. I am not showing up to my husband or my kids or clients at 100% of myself unless I have made myself 100% first. So in the end, what are you showing up as? Yeah. Are you just checking the box and getting it done? I would yell at my kids. I was control freak and frustrated over everything that didn't go my way. So what's the point in showing up like that?
Right.
That to me, that's selfish. That is selfish, is to neglect yourself and then give people your scraps. I can't think of a more selfish thing to do. So I want to give people that, perspective shift to go, oh, showing up for you first is the most selfless thing you can do because you've taken time to take care of you so that now you can be 100% for other people. That's the shift here.
That's real talk, Angie, because I'll tell you what, I was that person who showed up for my family, cantankerous and crotchety and upset because I was stressed out because I was working on building a business and that was my main focus and, you know, all the things that come along with that. And then I would be short with my kids and, you know, easily flustered. And, you know, that, God, what you just said, that brings me back. And, you know, I've done some work since then to improve that, but man, that was me. Yeah. That was me. And because of that, you know, I have a blended family now, but because of that, my relationships with my kids, they're strained because I thought that I was doing what I needed to do to serve them, I guess, financially, right, to support them, but I was not serving them emotionally at all. And I was not making myself 100%, as you said. And just to go back to that a little bit, and like, how do you do that? Because I know that I've heard you say that in order for you to say yes to something, you have to say no to something else. In order for me to do all the things that I feel that I need to do to make my business successful, I had to say no to spending time with my kids. So how do you make yourself 100%? How do you find the things that you should be doing so you can be that 100% for yourself, so then you can show up 100% for everybody else?
It goes right back to values. If you know what your values are, that's your formula. So once I understood, like, man, I'm 100% when I get some alone time and I have peace and tranquility in my life and I get a little spirituality time. I get to move my body. Like, I knew this and I was like, this is my challenge now. Like, how do I get that in with kids and two businesses? You know, I have two companies. So it's like, how do I get all that in? And that's where you have to start saying no. For me, it meant, well, I'm going to say no to sleeping a little bit later. The trade-off was worth it, right? I had to start saying different things like, no, I am a morning person. Actually, I am a morning person. And now, like, I will give up just about anything before I give up my morning time. I like to get up way early and I love that time by myself. And that's what makes me 100%. It's going to be different for everybody. Yeah. But understanding, one, what your values are, and then going, how do I get those in at some shape or form, that modification? And I really want to stress the modification because somebody's listening and it's going to be like, oh, alone time. Yeah, that sure would be nice. I get a lot of alone time now because my kids are gone. But back when they were in the house, I didn't. And whether it was even just going, all right, I'm going to hang out in my closet and tell them I'm still getting ready for just 2 more minutes and I'm just going to sit in peace. That was my alone time. And what people need to understand is that it's not necessarily the length or how much it is or how good it is. It's the intention and the mindset shift that happens from doing it. Just those 2 minutes, your brain says, oh, yeah, you're worthy, you're deserving. You love yourself. You believe in yourself. Like that is shifting everything. So figure out what you value. Your values make you that 100%, but don't get hung up on the perfect way that they look. We all have challenges and circumstances and situations that we're going to have to modify around, and that's fine. Yeah. Modify the death out of it until you get it to a place that you can achieve it.
All right. So you got to kind of get it in where you can fit it in. All right. Because I know something to be true. And that is, if you try to find time, you never will. You have to make it. Right. You have to make it time.
Absolutely. And make the smallest amount of time. I really want to stress this too. Like if somebody's like, well, I'd love to move my body, but I don't have an hour. Great. What do you have? Do you have 5 minutes? And I know this sounds ridiculous, but I'm telling you right now, you go outside and you walk for 5 minutes, you stand and do jumping jacks, whatever it is, give yourself that 5 minutes. It's going to feel like so small and ridiculous. And guess what? You're going to feel great. And then you're going to find 6 minutes, and then you're going to find 10 minutes, and that you are going to start making time, but you've got to start as small as possible. Set your timer for 60 seconds and give yourself that alone time or that fitness, anything, because we have to just kind of like wedge something in that door to start really opening it up.
Right. Yeah. And then when we can peek around that door and we can see what that is actually inside that room, that hallway or whatever we just opened up, that really pulls us in there. Like we want to do it more. Like you said, that leads to that 5 minutes to 6 minutes, 6 minutes to 7 minutes. Cause you figure out, man, I like the way this feels. I'm going to make some more time for this. Right.
Yes,
for sure.
Absolutely. Good stuff.
Now I want to talk about something else, kind of switching gears here. And I know that you deal with a lot of highly successful people. You are one yourself. You talk about choosing your seat and how it's about deciding really how to show up under pressure. Now, for our viewers and our listeners who may be battling, persistent self-doubt and feeling like I'm stuck, I don't know how to move forward. The weight of the world is on my shoulders. I'm in a situation where I just don't know what to do, but I can't stay here, but I don't know how to get out of this situation, how to move myself forward. What's something that they can apply in a time where they start to have these negative thoughts or limiting self-beliefs when they start to begin to surface?
Step one, figure out what you want instead, right? So if you're like, I'm in this situation and I'm just completely exhausted and I'm burnout and I have no energy every single day. Whatever it may be, my sales are horrible, my business is failing. You have to first kind of be honest about that and then go, well, what do I want instead? And this is where you have to have a little faith in the process. But whatever you want instead then shows you what you have to start saying and believing and what you have to start doing. So as an example, right? I'm exhausted, I'm burnout, I'm, have no time. Well, what do I want instead? I want to feel energized. I want to feel excited to wake up. I want to feel motivated, all of those things. Okay, great. So then what would you believe? What's the belief that you would have to start incorporating into your mind every day? And it's like that I'm energetic, that I'm excited to start my day. Like it's literally just the inverse. So that is in essence choosing your seat. Like you want to be in this seat of energetic, positive, motivated, loving your life. Great. Then that seat looks like thinking this and doing this. And it's like these little micro movements. You could be like, okay, so if I was energetic and excited about my day and really motivated, and I had, energy, then what would I be doing? Well, I'd be jumping out of bed in the morning. Well, I'd be getting up earlier. I'd be moving my body. I'd make my sales calls, whatever it may be. Then we start to go, okay, then we need to take one of those actions. And it starts to go again. I'm choosing my seat. You may not feel like saying that, feel like doing that. But when you decide to choose your seat and what that looks like, the feelings don't matter. Feelings are fleeting. Feelings are a product of our environment, our circumstances, all of that. Our values are what matters. So that's also important, right? If we know what our values are, then we choose the seat that we want to go into. So belief plus action equals change. But I need you to start going, okay, yeah, I believe I'm energetic. I do have time. You have to say the complete opposite because our mind creates what we believe. So if somebody said every single day, I am so exhausted, I have no time. And I will bet you money right here and now that they never get unexhausted, that they never find time because the mind loves congruency. If this is what you believe, then it's going to make everything around you align with it.
Right.
And that's what people need to understand. Someone said to me yesterday, like, oh, it's been a tough year and it's not getting any better. And I was like, oh no, her year really isn't going to get any better because if this is what she thinks, this is what she's prophesizing basically, right? It's going to be a self-fulfilling, event for her. So the mind starts to change every single time.
I love that. And I agree with that so much. And thinking back about what you're saying about, telling yourself, I'm energetic. I am a joyful person. I am full of positivity. For someone to say, well, those are all words. Like, what are the actions for me to actually get to those places? And from what I'm understanding, that all comes from your values, right?
Yeah,
your values are the seeds of the actions that you can take to get you to that joyful place, if you were.
Yeah. If it's joyful and fulfilled, yes, your values are always going to do that. But play around with another example, because even if it's someone who's like, my business is just tanking, like I'm no good at sales, like I don't know where my customers are going to come from. Any area of your life, it's about thinking. It's almost like you have to put on glasses of the person that you want to be. Right. And so it's like, oh man, well, what do I want to be? I want to be a top selling agent. I want to be a top selling financial advisor, whatever it may be. I want to feel really confident in the work that I do. Okay, great. Then what would a top selling agent or financial advisor, what would they think and what would they do? So we're going to put on those glasses and be like, man, if I was a top selling agent, I would feel, I would tell myself I'm really good at what I do. I would be reading more. I would be doing. You're going to figure it out. You can't look through your own lens right now because you're not that person. So you have to almost like put the lens on of the person you want to be, of the seat that you want to be sitting in. And then that's going to tell you, here's your action, here's your belief.
Right. Absolutely. Because, as they say that, whatever you've done to get you where you are is great, but it can't get you to where you want to go.
You got it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I find that so many times with people real quick. And you probably see this too. I'm curious, like, people have a goal and they have a vision, right, to get to where they are, but they don't ever change it, right? So then all of a sudden you find yourself exactly where you wanted to be, but you're still here. And it was like you wanted to be there and you got there 5 years ago and you're like, wait a minute, I don't know where to go next.
Yeah.
So it almost seems like sometimes people really create that first vision, that first goal in their younger years, but then what's after that? Where do you want to go? Because the same thing isn't going to just keep progressing you. Like you said, what got you here won't get you there.
Yeah. And once you get to that point that you wanted to get, like you said, you're there. Some of us become complacent because this was the thing that we wanted to achieve. But then you change, you grow, things change. And now you may feel stuck. So let's talk about that for a second. For that individual who may feel and now they're stuck in this spot, what would you say would be the fastest way for them to regain some sort of forward momentum to start dreaming again, essentially, a bigger dream than they had before?
Yeah, I love to just go, hey, 12 months from now, September 12th of 2026, Ian, what do you want to be so excited about in your life? What do you want to celebrate? What do you want to feel great about? What's different in your life? You come talk to me 12 months from now and you're like, man, I've had the best year ever. What happened? And you can do that for 1 year. You can do it for 3 years. You can do it for 5 years. I firmly believe that different mindsets can only see certain timeframes of some clients. Like, I want a 10-year vision, and other ones that like, I can't think more than 12 months out. So whatever you feel comfortable in, it's like, just decide, what do you want to be celebrating? And then all of a sudden you'll be like, oh, you might say like, life is good just the way it is right now. I just want to travel a little bit more. Okay, great. And that's your vision. You may think, oh, I'd like to have another store. I'd like to have 5 more employees. Okay, now we're getting that place. Oftentimes we don't do that because we're so busy turning the crank, right? And in the weeds of just like making things continuing to run.
Yes.
But that's treadmill mentality. We've got to get off the treadmill sometimes and go, okay, where do we want to set our course, our destination? What's that next vision?
Absolutely. And the only way to be able to do that, from what I'm hearing, is to create, I'm going to put that plug in there, that non-negotiable you, for sure. Yeah. Absolutely. Angie, I could talk to you for hours, but I want to thank you so much for joining us today and really dropping a lot of wisdom on us. For our listeners and our viewers to find out more about you, more about your coaching services, your podcast, your book, your programs, where can they go to find more about Angie Wisdom?
My site is angiewisdom.com. The name is not very common. It is my real name, but not too many wisdoms out there. So you will find me online. I put a lot of content on Instagram, Angie Wisdom Life Coach, but all my handles are the same like that. So angiewisdom.com. My book is on Amazon, The Non-Negotiable You. And then my morning mindset journal is on my website. We didn't even talk about that. That is literally the framed process for you to become the non-negotiable you. So if you're like, I just want to get into it and I want to start doing the work, 10 minutes in a prompted journal like that will 100% have you creating the relationship with yourself.
Excellent. All right. Well, thank you again so much for joining us. And I want to thank all of our listeners and all our viewers for joining us as well. And we'll end this episode like we end all of them. Remember to stay positive, stay persistent, and know that mindset is everything. We'll see you next time.
Thank you for tuning in and being part of the Positive Persistence family. We're having a great time creating this content, and we truly hope it inspires you to embrace positivity and persistence in your own journey. If this podcast episode inspired you or entertained you, scroll down, hit those stars, and leave a comment or two. Your 5-star reviews and shares encourage us and help us grow the show. So until next time, stay positive, stay persistent, and remember, mindset is everything.